Welcome to QSR Nation, your weekly dose of food service marketing tips and business strategies for success. Here's your hosts, Josh Anderson, Beth Oots, and Anthony Pierce from the PFSbrands National Headquarters.
Hey everybody, welcome back to QSR Nation. As always, we have Josh, Beth, and Tony at the PFSbrands National Headquarters in Holt Summit, Missouri to talk about food service marketing and business strategies for success. Last week we heard from Dave Yarbrough, the Vice President of Field Operations here at PFSbrands, and we brought him back today for more information on how you can just really instill a culture and really train your employees, and it's kind of how these field operations relate to running a really solid food service program. So Dave, I have a question for you. How can each employee help raise the bottom line at each location?
It's good to be back, and that's a great question. I think when we talk about how we can help each employee raise the bottom line, or how can each employee raise the bottom line, how can they make contributions, you would think about, well, you're not going to send a professional football team out on the field without that team knowing the plays, right?
Yep.
And so what I'm getting at here is open book management. So the first thing that we have to do is educate the team on how the business works so that they understand where their paycheck comes from. Teach the team about the profit and loss statement, how their actions on a daily basis can either positively or negatively affect each of those line items, and why the company has to preserve margins in order to stay in business and continue to provide each employee with stability.
Absolutely. I mean, some folks feel that there's just like an endless pot of money there, so it doesn't matter how much they throw away or what waste is there. If they just give a little extra, they just because they haven't been educated.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about it all the time when we're out in stores. We hear about what's going on in the economy, minimum wage increases, and from my standpoint, there's an obvious deficit in the level of understanding that individuals, especially in the food service sector, especially at the hourly level, have with regard to how business works. So this is our duty to educate them and explain to them the plays, the rules of the game, where money comes from. Because I will tell you without a shadow of a doubt, if you're to ask those individuals for every dollar that comes through the front door, how much of that goes into the owner's pocket, or how much of that is profit, most of the answers you're going to get are over 50 cents,
Yep.
80 cents,
Yeah.
90 cents. So you can understand why you might be getting a C-level effort from an individual that comes in thinking that, hey, everything that's happening here and all the money that's being made is being made off of my hard work, off of my blood, sweat, and tears, and I'm receiving this on the end of it. So you want to tear down that wall and eliminate that potential for any animosity by educating and teaching and coaching on what profitability looks like in whatever particular business you happen to be. For us, it's food service, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's a great point, because I mean, I know that I use the phrase a lot, coaching to excellence. And when you have someone who's given that C-level effort, like you said, sometimes the instinct is to turn that person. I got to find somebody different. I know I went through a phase of that in my career. I walked into a store that I was running. I think I turned probably 85% of the staff in a very short amount of time, because I mean, part of it needed to happen, but part of it was they didn't understand what the full expectation. But the biggest part is they didn't understand why. And I think when we get into that with our employees, we can turn those C-level efforts into some A-level performers.
Absolutely. There's a lot of great success stories out there. So that would be my first point is the education on how the business works. Next, make sure that all of your key metrics, sales, labor, food cost, things along that realm, or things that if you're more advanced on the technology side, maybe you've got indicators with regard to what your service times are, what your drive-through times are. Make sure that all these are visible and that they're being tracked constantly and through a scorecard of some type in your restaurant or in your food service operation. You have to remember that if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. So your team needs to know what's important, and they need to know where they're at any given time after you've provided that education on what those numbers mean and how we produce those KPIs. Finally, You want to be able to set aggressive goals and provide your employees an opportunity to earn an incentive based upon achievement of those goals, or what we would call a stake in the outcome. So where a lot of this, most of it comes from, is Jack Stack's book, Great Game of Business. It's a definite must-read if you want to drive ownership thinking through your organization and have a lot of fun doing it.
Well, we have a lot of fun with it here, from a Great Game of Business committee to interactive media, mini games, but also the fact that I think everyone in our company, from our guys that are back there busting their tail in the warehouse, to the folks here, in marketing, to the field staff, everyone understands where the dollars are going, and and what is in it for us, and how we can impact and drive better. And it's worked well for our company and many others who have followed in the footsteps of Jack Stack's game plan, so to speak.
Absolutely. I say it all the time during our discovery days when we bring in prospective or existing retailers to learn more about the company and the culture. I wish that I had the knowledge of the Great Game of Business and open book management going back into my corporate restaurant management days, because I think there would have been a lot more. Not only would we have achieved more success against our P&L, more profitability, better sales, all of those things that you look for, but from a people development standpoint, how many additional people could have developed with the company, taken new positions, and ultimately grown to higher levels?
Raise them up as you go.
Absolutely, given this type of knowledge and this type of a program around open book management.
So obviously the Great Game of Business is a great tool, but what other tools do you recommend in ensuring that you can maintain a profitable hot food program?
I think it's important to remember that there just aren't any silver bullets here.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of tools and resources and technologies out there. A simple internet search will take you, and you'll be overwhelmed with information that'll help you better grow sales and control expenses. But that being said, even still, we have estimates that 60% of new restaurants fail within the first year. If you look over 5 years, it's closer to 80%, depending upon which studies you look at. So I think the key thing to remember here is that regardless of those tools, those resources, those new technologies, they will never produce long-term success on their own in absence of having the right people that make up a winning culture. So again, I just want to reinforce that the right people, the right culture is going to trump any of those other tools or resources any day of the week. We can talk more in detail about other specific tools and resources that we provide, and like I said, there's a lot of others out there available as well.
And if you ever do want to reach out for some of those tools or just some more, just deeper information, you can reach out to us at mdf@pfsbrands.com. It would be more than happy to provide those tools to you. So what other tips, just to kind of round this out, what other tips do you have for retail owners and operators?
So I would recommend checking out, for us, we've got a lot of content that's on the web. One of the things that I pulled off was a recent blog post from Sean Burcham, our founder and CEO. Came up with the acronym PEPPER to talk about food service success and kind of what we have to offer. The first P is people. We talked at length during this session. We touched on it, and in the prior session we talked about people and the importance of that element and culture. You can't do anything without that being in place. But then we have E, equipment, products, processes, execution, resources. When you get down to resources, business developers that grow the brand and onboard our customers into the right lane, right? That fits them, what their goals are, and what we're looking for as a company. Business advisors that consult, coach, train our existing retail partners. They're laser focused on helping improve sales and grow profitability. In-house marketing department and print shop, internal customer success department, equipment division with a store layout and design division, IT and technology department. These guys are staying ahead of the curve on trends that help drive sales and improve operations. The resources are endless. We could sit here for a half hour and just rifle through those, but one of the things that I like to call attention to is that our tagline, our support, your success, it's not just something that we say, we live it every single day. And I would welcome anybody that's interested to reach out to us, reach out to me personally, and definitely recommend attending one of our upcoming Discovery Days so that we can dig into a lot of these concepts in greater detail.
I know I've sat through several Discovery Days recording them, and almost at every single Discovery Days that people leave there, and like the main thing they say is, I cannot believe the amount of resources you all have to offer. It just blows them away.
Well, and the things that, some of the takeaways that have always impressed me so much are some of the retailers who have been in the food service industry or in, the convenience store industry, whatever, for, 20, 25 years, and have, walked away saying, wow, this was some of the best 2 days I've ever experienced. And that might be a shameless plug on my part, but we all know I'm shameless. That's okay. But, the fact of the matter is like Dave said, the tagline, our support, your success, it's not just four meaningless words. We truly want to help food service industry grow. A friend of mine, they used to own 3 franchises of a national sandwich chain, and they had a restaurant of their own. And one of them actually, said to me that they were very, very impressed with the quality that they're getting from this, even though they're not part of the PFS family right now. But they were impressed with the quality of instruction and tips that we're providing, because at the end of the day, better food service industry execution is good for all of us, because competition is great, and it's better for the American consumer to get a better quality experience when they're going in, whether it's one of our locations or someone else's. So.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, we want to thank Dave very much for taking the time to come back and talk about more of this amazing information. Dave, do you have anything else to say? Just reach out to you if you have any questions, I guess.
Absolutely. This was painless.
You have to come back again.
I'll be back if I'm invited.
You got an open invite for sure. All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for listening this week. For Josh, Beth, and Tony, and Dave Yarbrough, we'll talk to you next week.
Stop by next week for another QSR Nation episode or visit pfsbrands.com.